In today's brief video, I'm going to provide you guys with 2 simple tricks that I used to quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content. If you're new to the channel, my name's Dr. Frank. I'm the founder of AddictionMindset recovery coaching programs, which are dedicated to helping people quit those exact substances. Trick number 1 is burning the bridges or burning the ships. When you make that final decision to quit smoking weed or quit vaping or quit drinking alcohol, whatever it is you're putting to the wayside, be firm in your decision. And I want you to ask yourself, what if going back to smoking weed, what if texting your plug, driving to the dispensary, what if that simply wasn't an option anymore? What would you do next? And I think this is one of the most beautiful things about being firm in your decision to quit smoking or quit vaping or whatever, because this is where you're giving your brain an opportunity to come up with something new, to come up with something different. But in the back of your mind, if weed is still an option on the table, if nicotine or adult media content is still an option on the table, there's a good chance you're going to go back to it. So tip number 1, burn the ships. And there was many stories like this in the past when it would come to people going to war and conquering things. There was one example of a gentleman. He was in a battle and he brought his soldiers to this island that they were trying to take over. And when they got there, he told the men, burn the ships. There's no going back. What if we viewed addiction as the same way? Now, I understand that might be an overwhelming thought, so you can break that down into day by day or hour by hour. There's no going back today. Weed, nicotine, adult media content, it's not an option for me today. There is no going back. I burn that ship. I burn that bridge. Now your brain is going to start to come up with a solution, and it's going to start to figure it out over time. If it wasn't for that mentality, I might have never picked up my phone or a video camera and started making these YouTube videos. I never would have founded the Addiction Mindset recovery coaching company and turned it into what it is today if I didn't burn my ships when it came to addiction. My second piece of advice, and I've talked about this before, and I'm not going to repeat myself, I promise. Addiction isn't about what you're giving up, it's about what you're gaining back. So start to talk to yourself that way. When you're talking about, oh, I'm quitting smoking, don't say to yourself, oh, I'm quitting smoking, because that's going to lead to feelings of deprivation and restriction, which you're going to rebel against that. At least I always did. Say to yourself, I'm gaining back my health. I'm actually becoming financially smart and I'm rebuilding my bank account. I'm gaining back my physical health. I'm gaining back my endurance. Actually, I'm now working much harder in my career and rebuilding my motivation to do better because I want to do better to buy, my girlfriend or my husband a wedding ring, whatever it is you have, whatever your goals are. But start to speak about quitting differently, because you're not quitting anything. You're simply putting an end to something that you don't want to be participating with anymore. You're breaking up from a toxic relationship and you're not giving anything up. And that's the case for anyone who's crossed over into that point of addiction when it comes to nicotine, THC, energy drinks, or adult media content. So to recap, 2 simple tips. Tip number 1, burn the ships, burn the bridges. Take using nicotine or weed, take that option off the table and give your body, give your mind the space to develop and come up with something new. I promise if you give it long enough, it will. It absolutely will. And I know that because you got grit, you got grind, you got hustle. You're a fighter. You made it through active addiction. You're here watching this video. I know you're going to pivot and you're going to pivot in a good direction. And then tip number 2, start to speak about quitting differently. I'm not quitting smoking cigarettes. I'm reclaiming my physical health. I'm rebuilding the endurance in my lungs. I'm not quitting vaping. I'm actually just partaking in an activity to reduce my anxiety, which is getting sober. Getting sober is that activity. I'm rebuilding my relationships. I'm not quitting smoking weed. I'm fostering new relationships. It's all in how you speak about addiction to yourself that's going to change your mindset. So don't downplay either of those tips. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and maybe let me know in the comments some positive ways how we can talk about quitting an addiction that don't emphasize the quitting, but rather all the things in life that we're gaining back. I'd love to hear from you guys what you're gaining back and what you're coming up with when you take nicotine and weed off the table as an option. I'll see you in the comments below.